Happy Do Something Nice Day, and welcome to Week 5 of the Sandlot Fantasy Football League. With me this week, I've got Hillers. What's up, bud?
Hey!
And Nick. What's going on, Nick?
Hey, how are you doing, Merrill?
Pretty good. What have you guys done something nice today to celebrate Do Something Nice Day?
I took my wife to the airport. That's more nice for me, though.
Hey, airport rides are nice. Yeah.
I'm doing this podcast. Does that count?
That was going to be mine. You bastard.
Well, suck it.
Well, I got nothing there.
That would be something. If you did that, that would be something nice for you, Merrill.
Yeah. Chip in, why don't you?
Yeah, fair. I think the other one, I forget the other wacky holiday today, but it didn't seem that great. So we want to do something nice. So otherwise, I wouldn't have done anything nice today. But yeah, all right. So this week, it's the Real Deal or No Schkapeel podcast, boys.
Everyone's favorite.
A tradition unlike any other.
Where we tell you why you're bad.
Yeah. We don't know what Schkapeel is, but we don't really know what Real Deal is. We've never really defined it. It's just...
I have.
Yeah, we all have our own definitions.
Playoff
whatever
team.
you want it to be, it doesn't make any sense.
It's whatever you want it to be.
So, that's what we're going to go with. And
Molecules knocking into each other. It just doesn't make any sense.
But yeah, so let's start with some general thoughts here, guys. Or actually, you know what? Let's start with mini game winners. Something we've kind of neglected the first few weeks of doing this. We actually do have mini games every week that take place. I believe it's a shared Google Drive document. If anybody wants access to it, we keep it up to date as best we can. Nick does a good job with it. Nick, what do we got for mini games so far?
What we have so far through the first 4 weeks of the season is we actually have someone actually running away with all of them. And normally the mini games are for rewarding someone for doing well and just getting the short end of his stick. The person who's running away with the mini games right now isn't winning them for the right reasons. What we have right now is week 1 is our highest scoring bench award, and so far that
hang on. Any guesses, Hillers? I'm looking at it, so I can't guess.
Oh, I can't remember if that was the Lamar week, so I'm going to say Watson.
It is Watson.
Ding, 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 ding.
He put up 78.32 points on his bench.
Wow.
On his bench, he had 78 points.
Dez hasn't scored that many points all year.
Yeah.
Whoa, shots fired.
Time for a mass trade.
Week 2, we have highest scoring player.
Any guesses, Hillers?
Highest scoring player in week 2. Daria.
Player, like...
What position does Daria play?
Oh, I don't know. Owner.
Well, I mean, it's not right either. It's not Daria's team.
Oh, okay.
It's, who is it?
It's not going to happen, Chief. Stefan Diggs put up 44.8 points.
Ooh. Dang.
Highest scoring defense is week 3. And this is actually a tie between TDJ and Hitmen of Cincinnati and Philadelphia, both putting up 15 points. So they're going to split that pot of $5.
Yeah.
Brick
by
last
brick.
week it was lowest scoring team. And lowest scoring team, any thoughts on that, Hillers?
Last week? I don't know. Was it you?
Well, he did say
You've
someone
been
was
pretty
running
unlucky.
away. He did say someone was running away with this, so it would have to be one of the previous.
Is it Watson? Is it Watson again?
Watson with 80.26 points. So his team last week
Watson
barely would have beat his bench in week 1.
And he won $20 for it.
That's it's the contest no one wanted to see. Watson versus himself for title of worst. But
so those mini games are $10 each. I know we've got some new people in the league, but each week there is a new mini game. Next week in week 5, it will be the highest scoring QB. The winner of and it has to be your starting QB, your active QB. Whoever has the highest scoring active QB will win $10. So let's keep that in mind.
Take it to the bank. It's the only money some of you will get this season.
There are season-long mini games as well. Each awards $10 that we award to highest scoring, to most points for highest scoring players. Like, it's a season-long one, so it's whoever's going to score whichever individual player put up the best performance that was on the starting lineup is what's going to win you that award as well. So, still lots of money out there on the table to be won, but it looks like there's a lot of. Looks like Watson's already the big winner, and yeah.
Yeah, Watson's
so to speak.
Watson's cleaning up on all the the shit posting awards, right? Like highest, for instance, one of the season long ones is highest scoring single week bench player, and I think Watson had Lamar Jackson on his bench one week that had 42 points. I gotta think that he's in the lead right now on that one.
It's somewhere in the 40s. It always takes it. So
yeah. But yeah. So anyway, we'll try to keep those up to date, and if you don't have access to the sheet or you need it, just let us know.
Yeah.
General thoughts, guys. We're through our first two double headers. We're kind of starting to see which teams are for real, which are not, which we're going to get into, I know. But any general thoughts on where we're at right now?
I would say I think it's harder this year than previous years to figure out who has Schkapeel and who has none. It seems like anybody except for Dez still in it.
It does seem like, to paraphrase one of my favorite lines from Moneyball, there's the good teams, and then there's 50 feet of shit, and then there's the bad teams, and then there's another 50 feet of shit, and then there's Dev. But there is there is definitely, it definitely feels like there's the good teams are really good, and that's kind of it. Like I feel right now that there's no real, even the medium teams, so the teams that are decent, have a lot of work to do to catch up to the worst best team.
Yeah, I mean it's fantasy, so there's always a chance, right, that they can in 1 week they can have a blow up game. But I agree. I mean that's what I was going to say too, Nick. I think you've got your top 3 or 4 teams right now, I think, and that's pretty clear. You've definitely got your bottom 2 or 3, and then the middle is kind of, I think it's closer to the bottom 2 or 3 than it is to the top 3 or 4, right?
Yeah, I think that's a fair way to say it.
I will say, though, that I think that there's a couple of teams that are underperforming their record and their team right now. You know what I mean? And I feel for them, but if fate had gone a little bit differently, I think there's a couple teams out there that would look a lot stronger if you're just checking out their record. Yeah,
I'd be undefeated.
Mm-hmm.
Nick, I think you've got something on that, right?
I may have a little something on it. It's very loosey-goosey math, but it is kind of funny, looking at the luck factor of teams, right? If you take the amount of losses that they have versus the amount of overall losses that they should have based on the all play, you can kind of figure out that, basically every team has a 12% chance to win any given game just because of the way that the all play works. You have a 12% chance of just being matched up properly. If you're going to win the week, if I took all the wins divided by the amount of games that you should have won, or the amount of losses versus the amount of actual losses you took. Again, loosey-goosey math, I'm still kind of working it out. But what I did find is that Grimes so far is the quote luckiest team with a 25% win rate, in that he has won 25 of his all play. He has won 25% of the games that his all play said that he should have won.
Wow. Winning so few and still lucky.
Yeah, Daria is and what's funny is that it's Grimes at 25%, but the league average is 14%. So it's he has maximized his wins.
I don't understand the 12, but if you just look at
don't worry about it.
I think I
see.
Yeah, but I see what you're saying. Just look at all play. Dad Dick's 12 and 32 in all play, right? Just
and he's won 3 of those 12,
and he's 500 on the season at 3-3, right? So it's
right, but he's won 3 of those 12 games, 3 possible 12 games. Even though he doesn't really work, that's the problem. Right. It doesn't work out like that because you're not going to play every team in the league.
He's outscored out of a possible, how many weeks is it? 4 weeks times 11. Out of a possible 44 teams that he could have played, he's outscored 12 of them, and 3 of those he actually played. Right. Which is crazy. And then you look at Daria, out of that possible 44, where is she? She outscored 30 of those 44, and she has the same record.
Same record.
So, yeah. It's a small sample size so far, and fantasy football by nature is a small sample size. You've only got a certain number of data points, but yeah, it is frustrating to see those numbers, and it is crazy that it's the same owners year after year, because Daria is more often than not on the wrong side of it.
Notoriously unlucky. Yeah.
Yeah.
What I always find funny is that, and I feel like this is a general trend, and this year is being no different, is that what I find is the teams that have like the higher points, have a lot of points for, somehow also have a lot of points, are in the bottom of points against. Like, it's not the win record, it's that somehow those teams that put up a lot of points also have one of the lower points scored against them somehow.
Well, that makes sense.
And
a little bit.
Why?
Because they don't play against themselves, right? So, like if they're the team putting up a bunch of points, they're not not facing that team, right? So there's a little bit of that. I don't think that's the only reason, but I think that's part of it, right?
1/12 of the reason.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. That makes sense. Yeah.
I don't know that that's all of it, but I think that makes
It's 1/12
part of it.
It's roughly 12%.
I mean, Daria didn't have to worry about having 170 points put against her in week 2. So
something I noticed, I think this week, last time we podcast, we talked about how RBs are a dumpster fire, and I think they still are for the most part. But I feel like week 4 was kind of like a revenge of the running backs. I mean, if you look at the top running backs and some of their scores, I think through the first 2 weeks we had said that no running back had scored 17 plus points in both weeks. Well, this past week we had McCaffrey at 25, Eckler 34, Derrick Henry 23, Chubb at 20, Saquon at 18, Mixon 17, Josh Jacobs at 34, Miles Sanders at 29, Damian Pierce at 25, J.K. Dobbins at 22. Like the running backs finally, it feels like finally bucking their heads a little bit, and maybe contributing a little for these teams.
If the Bengals O-line could move even 1 inch, Mixon's would have been like 29. But they can't, so it is what it is.
Yeah, but I mean, a lot of it does come down to it's like this is week 4, which is essentially week 2 of like previous years, right? I mean, it's because if you look at week 1 and 2 of the NFL season as the final preseason games, because teams are still trying to figure out what they're doing. You have week 3 is week 1, and then week 4 is kind of week 2, and everything is kind of starting to gel a little bit. So I'm sure that there's something about that to be said.
Maybe the running games are starting to form up a little bit.
Yeah, and I think teams are just learning. I think coaches are realizing that. I think some of these coaches are probably like on the hot seat, or like, I should probably start throwing to Christian McCaffrey. Like, I should start throwing to. We have Austin Eckler. Maybe I don't need to put Sony Michel in at the goal line. Like,
what are you doing here?
You're like,
doesn't make any sense. Yeah, I think I'm still interested to see, and we've got a lot of season left, but so far, the trend has continued to where investing in running backs continues to be riskier and riskier. And I think over time, like I have to wonder if the price of them at the draft is going to drop. And I don't know. Like everyone's saying right now, they're going 0 RB next year. They're just tired of it. They're just going to draft a bunch of Josh Jacobs. The $20 guy. Just draft 5 of them, and just be good there, and then just draft like 6 elite receivers, which is mathematically impossible. Like not everybody can do that, of course, but. A lot of people. That's kind of the trend everybody is talking about right now.
And everyone do it. I know that stickers, but if you look at the waivers, there's nothing out there. I mean, we already have.
It is barren, and it's some of it. I do think is the end of the new preseason is over. With teams leaning on it less, and there are coaches that I'm sure came in with what they thought were real hot ideas about getting an explosive passing offense that are realizing hey, some of these teams, most notably the Lions, will let us just run all day, and we probably should. And there's a few guys here that I think have been hungry for carries that have been, even when they haven't been terribly efficient on carries, teams are finding success, especially when they get up a little bit, doing normal football stuff, just running the clock and giving them, feeding them carries. Not every team has the committee situation that was sometimes broadcast that they would in the preseason. And so there's opportunity for those guys, but then along with that, it's only week 4 and we're already getting this rash of injuries. So let's see how long that lasts.
Yeah. For sure. I don't know. It feels like on the injury thing, and I don't know. I feel like we say this every year, but it feels like I don't know if injury reporting is different now, in that there's so many outlets to learn about injuries, and there's like. It's so instant when you hear about them that we just hear like every week. It seems like last week I felt like half my team was questionable all of a sudden, and then they all played on Sunday, right? Regardless, like not all of them, but like the ones I expected to play ended up playing anyway. Like I don't know. Do you guys feel like the more injuries are being reported now than before? Like
no, it's a violent sport, and I think that there's a lot of liability going in the air right now, and even more so after the Miami catastrophe about being transparent, being transparent about it and trying to identify player safety, at least when it doesn't when it suits them, right? And when they think they can get away with it. So yeah, I think all these people are actually, are hurt. I don't know if it's more reported than in previous years, but I'm not at all surprised to see it. And every one of us can expect worse, even though, some of us have half our roster with Qs on right now, just because, it's a violent game and they train them to be harder and faster every year, right? And it's got to be tough to keep all your tendons and bones intact when you got big guys trying to dislodge them all the time. That's an expert analysis there.
No,
football.
It's simple, but true for sure.
My back hurts just hearing about it.
Yeah, other thing I was thinking about is our divisions. We always like to compare divisions and everything, and I think one of the ways we can compare them, everyone likes to say their division's the hardest or most difficult, whatever. But I ran through and I looked at every division and what their out of division record was, basically. And not a total shock here, but the Maximum Beef came in at the top with a 5-3 out of division record. Would have thought it'd be a little better, honestly. Again, small data set.
Weenie caught me on my worst week.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's the thing with fantasy. It's still a small data set, and we know. But 5-3, second place, Soggy Subway Sandwiches at 4-4, sitting at 500 out of division record.
Because we caught Hilliard on a good week.
Because we caught that, yeah, that's why. Otherwise, it'd be 6-3. And Meatball Salad coming in last with at 3-5 out of division. Would have been an extra win if I didn't lose by a half a point to the not going to happen Chiefs in week 3. But we'd be 4.
All I heard is he lost. Hilliard, is that what you heard?
Yeah, it was a barn burner. But yeah, you lost.
Yeah, half a point. Yeah.
Lost.
So I mean, we're kind of at where we are with that. We'll try to keep track of the out of division records, see where we're at the end of the year, and see if this Maximum Beef, as much as they bitch about their division being so difficult, we'll see if they can hang with their out of division records, see if that matches up with what they're saying.
Check the all play. Come get your beef.
We also had a trade this week, Killers.
I saw.
Yeah,
so good. Yeah, and with the injuries being the way they are, I gotta wonder. When are teams going to start moving? Typically you see a lot of trades when teams start to either give up entirely or decide that they need a slight change of direction if they're going to remain competitive. And we're still on the early side of that for the season, but we're definitely headed into it. It's one of my favorite parts of late October is getting into that trade market. So
yeah, the beauty of the keeper league, right? Where contenders are. Like, if you look at some of these trades in a vacuum, they make 0 sense. They're
no
terrible.
sense whatsoever.
But in a vacuum where, a non-contending team is looking to build for next year and a contending team is looking to rent a player for, 6 weeks, they make total sense. So, Nick, you made one of those trades.
I did.
Why don't you take us through that one?
Actually, what's funny is it was actually a trade with one of the harder people to trade with, too. I figured that I actually tried a different approach when it came to trading him. And I thought that it was going to go one of two ways. It was either going to work or I was going to get flamed for it, and it seemed to have worked. So I'm glad that it worked out. And I just, I wanted to just solidify up my running back core, and I had some wide receivers to trade. And actually, I think it was on our podcast a couple of weeks ago when you were like, if I was Watson, I'd be talking to Grimes right now about trying to get one of his wide receivers. And I was like, what of his running backs can I get from Brandon Cooks? And he was like,
why do you depend on me to come up with these strategies? Like, you're all depending on me for your fantasy strategies?
I think I said that, actually.
Someone said that. Whoever said that, and I was like, maybe it is time to make a trade. Like, I kind of have some. I didn't want to miss out. So
quit depending on me for your analysis, Mike.
That's what it is, man.
Yeah, I figured it locked up my.
Wait, so what do you mean this could have gone one of two ways? Because I think you absolutely fleeced him, Of
Oh
course.
no, the trade offer that I sent him was horrible. But I sent him an offer that was like I sent him. I tried to get like Jonathan Taylor off of him for slubs. I sent him that trade. Yeah, but it wasn't even buy low. It was
what's a buy low?
I'm offering
If you're
you.
trading for Taylor now,
you're not going to say yes to this. But in the note, and then in my notes, I was like, I want one of your running backs who's not Jonathan Taylor or Patterson. Because I figure those are the ones that you're keeping. Like, however I worded it, I was like,
on the Patterson.
I'm not expecting. I wasn't going to get Patterson. I wasn't going to get Taylor off of him. No, I wasn't going to get Taylor off of him. But I was like, what running backs do you want? Like, here are my wide receivers that I'm willing to trade. What running backs do you want to get? Are you interested in trading for?
So you sent a trade for Jonathan Taylor in which you said, I know I'm not going to get Jonathan Taylor.
However I worded it. I made him a bad offer for him, but with the note saying, here's what I'm... Like, I sent him with all the information that I was going to say. Like, here's my trades that I'm willing... Here's my pieces. This is what I want. Maybe I sent him, all my wide receivers, and I clicked all the players that I wanted, and was like, here's the players that I want. Here's what I'm willing to trade. What can we work out?
I mean, it worked. It worked. So, clearly it was... I think you got the better end of that deal.
Yeah.
You never actually know, right? But
we don't know.
If anyone in the league is interested, I am willing to trade for good players, and will trade you players on my team.
Yeah, I will also trade away shitty, underperforming players for better players. So if anyone out there is looking to do that before giving them all to Nick, stop on by my side of the street.
Yeah, come on. Yeah. Come on down to the non-zero chance where the prices are hot.
Yeah, it'd be nice.
Yeah.
Any other general thoughts, guys?
I don't think so. I want to get into the real deals.
I think so, right? We'll hit some of the stuff up. I had some stuff, but we don't need to go over it. I will say on the Jonathan Taylor thing, it is funny. I'll just run through it. Some of the conventional thinking, you can look back on pre-draft and talk about
conventional thinking, aka preseason hype.
Preseason hype, right? Everyone's like, Josh Jacobs, boring. He's done. It's a Josh McDaniels offense.
Yeah, who cares if he has 80% of the
snaps? Nobody, who knows? They never have a workhorse, and Josh Jacobs has a higher snap percentage than any running back in the league right now. Nick Chubb. I heard a great thing this week on a podcast. Nick Chubb is you listen to any preseason, whatever. Everybody's in PPR leagues, you don't want him. He doesn't catch the ball, and the only people who know how good Nick Chubb is people who have owned Nick Chubb, right? And it's and they're like, yeah, no, he's amazing, and I love him, and he's the best kept secret in fantasy football, right? Because the guy just, it's at least 15 points a week. He's gonna have 10 touchdowns and 1,200 rushing yards every week, every year.
He's out there chubbing it. He don't care.
Kyle Pitts, just oof. God sakes.
I mean, what can we say that hasn't already been said?
Poor Andy. My God.
$16 tight end well spent on that one.
Tony Pollard, better than Zeke. Is he? I mean, sometimes, but he had 0 points last week. Complete goose. So,
that's not as good. I'm not a math expert, as the draft established, but
the tight ends in general, I'm so and I know I'm going to get roped into it next year, but trying to find that breakout tight end. We mentioned Kyle Pitts. But it's I'm trying to think of some of the other people we're talking about, whether it's Hawkinson or whether it's Gerald Everett, or whether it's Pat Fry. There is no breakout tight end. It's Kelsey, it's Andrews, and it's shit after that. And that's it. It's
Correct.
You get one of those two, and then, don't pay up for anyone else. It's a dumpster fire. You don't want it. And the other thing in snake drafts and in most drafts, Jonathan Taylor was considered the sure thing, right, over McCaffrey. And McCaffrey probably get hurt next week, so whatever. But I think the lesson here is there's no such thing as a sure thing, right? It's how can you know, right?
People were kind of betting the legs would fall off CMC, I think. They've been hurt once before, you know what I mean? And then the expectation of future damage was there. So I think the expectation was just in place. You'll get a few weeks, and then a leg will fall off. And so we'll see.
Which is still possible.
Still possible. Still possible for anyone in the league, though. It's not exactly hovering
and
like a cloud
that's the lesson,
over
right?
Christian McCaffrey.
The sure thing is not whatever.
It's not a thing. Sure thing is not a thing. Right.
The Seahawks were supposed to be terrible. And the Broncos were supposed to be great. And
Yeah.
two questions here. Fantasy-wise, which quarterback would you rather have on your team? Geno Smith or,
I'll tell you, I can
Russell
answer
Wilson?
that question.
Yeah.
I can actually answer that question because I have done that move.
You'd rather have Geno?
I dropped Russell for Geno.
Russell Wilson for Geno, and it was the smart play, honestly. I mean, when teams change and when circumstances change, you got to believe what you're seeing, and I do think it's a coaching and a management issue, but Broncos Nation is a shambles right now.
If an alien landed on this planet and was watching football, and you showed them the Seahawks and you showed them the Broncos, and you told them one of these quarterbacks is making $200 million, and the other one is a journeyman who nobody wants quarterbacking their team.
I know.
It's complete. They'd be like, oh well, Geno Smith is clearly making $200 million. Yeah.
Sometimes this happens where these guys cash these massive checks, and then it's like, bye, football career. I'm good now.
I'm starting to come around on Grimes, who said Russell Wilson sucks. Like, this may be Grimes' moment on this one. Because Geno Smith looks like Russell Wilson did on the Seahawks, and Russell Wilson looks like Drew Lock did on the fucking Broncos. It's terrible.
Take your wins where you
He
can.
looks like Geno Smith did for the Jets.
Yeah, right. So Grimes, I'm coming around. I'm not there yet, but I'm getting there, man. All right. Real deal or no Schkapeel?
Get into it.
What does it mean? We'll explain it for each person. For me, Real Deal is a team that I think will be competing for a playoff spot.
Right. For me, Real Deal is the teams that I anticipate to actually make the playoffs. I think there's too many people competing for a playoff spot, especially this year. So, Real Deal is a true honor in the Hiller system.
Yeah, I think that mine is if they are in the playoff, like the team that will be in the playoff hunt.
There you go. We're going to start with the Soggy Subway Sandwich Division, and we're going to start with the Assassins, who are getting a lot of coverage this week. But where do we stand on this team, boys? Nick, what do you think?
In a way, a train crash gets a lot of coverage.
Yeah, right. If it bleeds, it leads.
Yeah.
I'm going with no Schkapeel. I think that for right now, I don't think that his team right now he's catching bad injuries at a bad time. I think at a time where he needs to be trying, and I mean, obviously, it has nothing to do with what he did as a owner. Give me a second.
Does it not? We just got done talking about
I think it's at 2-4. At 2-4, when you need to make a push, you need to start making your push. Like now, you're starting to get injuries. Like the only thing that this team has going for him is that his injuries, quote, happened. He went 0-2 this week, right? Yeah, low scoring, so that's bad. Like it's tough. Like 2-4 is going to be tough when you are now getting hit with the injury bug that's going into it. So you're potentially 2-5 right now, and now you kind of have to run the table. Like I'm going no Schkapeel.
Yeah, concur. I mean, an absolutely minimal amount of Schkapeel, and he's got 3 running backs on his active roster now, and one of them looks to be out. So big problem.
Some Schkapeel.
I mean,
some Schkapeel.
No.
He has.
No, a minimal amount. Like
so some. Yeah, some
okay.
Schkapeel. I said he has no Schkapeel.
I'm not zero amount. Okay,
there's no some Schkapeel. That's not a thing.
Let me revise my statement.
He's already botching it. He's only been doing this for
no Schkapeel.
Zero amount. You can't have some Schkapeel.
An absolute zero.
It's like being kind of pregnant.
If it was temperatures, the world would be doomed. There is no Schkapeel to the team.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna go on it too. Point total so far: 116, 88, 111, 80. Nothing great there. 12 and 32 in all play. Jonathan Taylor banged up. Made a bad trade this week after waiting for J.K. Dobbins to finally come back. Sorry, Watson. I normally pull for you, but I'm going no Schkapeel here. Ween Ye next. Ween Ye are 3-3. He's had some good schedule luck. What do we think on this one, Nick?
I started last time. You can start.
No Schkapeel here. Trying to find him on the schedule.
It's not going to get easier.
No, it's not. I mean, point totals are 110, 103, 105, and 85. That's not, that's a 4-week sample, and those are not point totals that are going to lead you to a winning record. So for that, I'm going to say no Schkapeel. I don't really see anything changing those point totals on this team.
With Nick Chubb putting up 20.
I mean, the weird thing is he's got the best running back combo in the league by numbers. He's got Saquon Barkley is the RB1, I think, right now. The interesting stat I saw was I think Saquon Barkley's RB1 right now at 86 points. That is the fewest amount of points for the number one overall running back at this point in the season since like 1997. They're the best, but this wide receiving core is struggling. Keenan Allen's going to come back, which will give a little boost, but I don't think it's going to be enough.
Yeah, and it's no Schkapeel for me on this one. To be clear, absolutely zero Schkapeel. But if the team were to make the playoffs, it would only be by virtue of their terrible division, right? And the fact that he does have a couple of redeeming factors on his roster. But it's not being reflected in the points. This isn't a total unit. And, I always get so anxious about this stars and scrubs squads, especially late in the season, because they're so sensitive to circumstance. And things could change, The Pickens is looking good in Pittsburgh. As you say, Keenan Allen's coming back. Maybe, if Rashad Bateman comes off, injury, the team starts to look stronger and starts to be competitive. Right now, I can assign a full 0 in terms of Schkapeel. Not.
Let me check one real quick.
You did beat me, Andy. Congrats to you. I will acknowledge it on the podcast.
I mean, this team with Jared Goff at quarterback, the top 2 running backs, and still where he's at, I don't see it.
Yeah, he's just waiting for Keenan Allen. I mean, that's the thing, right? Is that he's 3-3. So if Keenan Allen comes back and Pickens become a connection, and Atlanta's figuring out Kyle Pitts, well, suddenly this team has the pieces.
Right.
It's just kind of waiting for everything to kind of fall back into place. And the thing about that was different about Andy is that Andy's at least 3-3 and has a strong enough record to be able to still be able to come back. Like, he's waiting for the pieces to start working right, but he can weather the storm a little bit right now. Don't get me wrong, it's still no Schkapeel for me, but
yeah. If there's a team that has a possibility of gaining Schkapeel, this is probably it.
Yeah, okay. You sold me on that. I agree. Okay. TDJ. TDJ are also 3-3. 26-18 in all play. A little unlucky with the schedule. Score-wise, TDJ has scored 120, 128, 102, and 138. So pretty good scores overall for this team. What say you, Hillers?
Well, first of all, this is usually the point in the podcast where we check to see if we're recording it.
Good call, and we are.
Okay, so a new record. Yep. Secondly, I would say that this team, has some potential in the roster. It does still live in Kansas City for the most part, except for one former Kansas City player. But a stars and scrubs lineup can still really get you, and so far he's got it. But I also think he's a beneficiary of a weak division, and can't see that he's really going to make the playoffs by record if it keeps going. Once he starts running into that buzzsaw of tougher teams, so it's a no Schkapeel for me.
Nick?
I think that it's a real deal. He still has Patrick Mahomes as his quarterback. He still has his Chiefs connections. Even though it seems to not really be as massive as it was, I think the loss of Tyreek Hill definitely affected his Chiefs lineup. But I think he's fine. I still think he's a real deal. I think he's a little bit of bad luck, but he's still going to put up a good points, and I think he can make a playoff push and make a real deal.
Yeah, I was gonna say real deal, and then I just look at this roster. I can't. It's no Schkapeel for me.
You can't with this.
Like I know the points have been there. I honestly don't know where they're coming from. Like Edwards-Helaire, I think is a fraud right now. I think the touchdown per carry regression has to fall off. He's just not getting the touches that warrant that that amount of points. Yeah, Tyreek Hill's a stud. Patrick Mahomes is a stud. But beyond that, there's really nothing on this team that's scaring me. I think Garrett Wilson was great for the first couple weeks, but Zach Wilson coming back might hurt that. Yeah, I'm saying no Schkapeel here, but it is
only
close.
so many teams can make the playoffs. You know,
I mean, unless you
win your division.
That's not my criteria, but this
Just your
team, I
yearly
don't
reminder.
think this team can compete for a title this year. I don't. So I'm going to say no Schkapeel. Which I'm changing in the notes right now.
Whoa. Serious. Putting
Which
it in
brings
writing.
us to the Not Gonna Happen Chiefs, the final team in the Soggy Subway Sandwich division.
So soggy.
Not Gonna Happen Chiefs at 4-2, with a 25-19 record, so right on there what they should have record-wise. Their points so far: 104, tough week 1, went 0-2, I believe. Then 132, 137, and then 100. Hillers, what do you think of the Chiefs?
That's a certain amount of consistency, and it's a team. It's something that you want to see in a team that will eventually make the playoffs, either by straight division win or by wild card. And another thing that this team has going for it is that their players seem to be on their way up. I said early in the season that no one invested in up and comers and maybe a next year team quite as much as Tyler did, and it's starting to bear fruit. Cordell Patterson is now out, and Tyler Algier is the guy. I think it's perfectly possible that would happen elsewhere on this roster, and meanwhile he's got Stephon Diggs and friends, and enough left here to easily navigate a year-long schedule that against usually weak opponents. So it's a real deal for me. I think this is the division winner down here.
Nick?
I think that, like you said, that with Derrick Henry and Dalvin Cook kind of coming back online, and Tyler Algier, as Hillers like to say, and Rashad White, like I think that this team, like this is definitely an up-and-coming team, and I think that he's a real deal. Like there's nothing really else to say. Like it's a playoff team. It's a real deal. Like that's
Yeah, this team, needs to stay healthy. So far, I mean, he lost Michael Thomas, but he's got Devontae Smith to step up. He's got, Russell Gage maybe playing well. I don't know. But the strength here is the running backs, right? You mentioned Rashad White, who I think got all the goal line carries in the last game for the Bucs.
Yeah.
I think Rashad White's a player who's going to get better as the year goes on. Tyler Algier, that was actually pronounced.
Algier.
Also Alligator. Some may say. Who can possibly say?
It's impossible. It's unknowable.
But yeah, this team I think is I think it's the best team in the division. So I think somebody's got to come out here as real deal. I think this team, if it stays healthy, can compete. I mean, they've shown they can put up points. So real deal here.
Tyler Algier notwithstanding, you like to see a team with some momentum, right? And that things are picking up for them rather than they're sort of slowly slipping over a cliff as the scree goes underneath their fingernails. And this is a team that seems to be scaling.
Yeah, Michael Gallup coming back. Who knows? All right, maximum beef. No, I'm sorry, meatball salad. I'm skipping ahead in the notes here. Meatball salad. We'll start with the Wounded Ducks here.
okay.
Yeah. Do we need to?
I mean, yeah. Nick, go ahead.
Okay. So I have a song for you, Des. Are you ready? You guys ready for this?
I guess.
Everything is awful. Everything is awful when it comes to this team. Everything is awful. This song is now Dez's theme. He's a Schkapeel.
Okay.
Wow, I actually inspired you to burst out into song how bad this team was. That's a new one for the podcast, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I'll agree. Talked with Dez yesterday a little bit, and he just said, look, he said, it's the team of busts. I mean, everyone on this team, bust. None of them have worked out.
Yeah.
At all. Right? And we had conversations at the beginning of the year about this team. We're like, look, Travis Etienne, looks to be the guy. Zeke, was hurt last year, could be healthy. Treylon Burks, great pick. Allen Robinson's blowing up training camp. Darren Waller's a great tight. Like, none of it None of it has panned out. Absolutely
Not a bit.
Jamal Williams is the best thing this team has going for it, and he's gonna start sharing carries again in like 2 weeks potentially. So
Right. That's got a time cap on it, and this is the time of plenty for this team is a disturbing prospect.
Yeah, and honestly, like I'm saying that to say like I don't think this is necessarily all Dez's fault. Like, I mean, he picked the players, sure, but like I'm saying at the beginning of the year, we're like, yeah, he's got some fence sitters here that could go either way, and they all went the wrong way.
Yeah. I mean, I would say with the Zeke Elliott, Tony Pollard thing, the worst thing that they could happen was that they would both be producing mediocre points, and that's exactly what occurred. He managed to get it wrong twice on the same team, twice. No, wait, you didn't have James Robinson. I'm thinking wrong, but yeah, still bad choices, and you should feel bad.
Yeah, all right.
No Schkapeel.
Slod Tadpoles. Next team here, Slod Tadpoles at 3-3, I believe.
Just to confirm, no one had anything approaching a real deal for Des, right?
Yeah, no Schkapeel here.
Yeah, right. Okay.
No, Slod Tadpoles. Sorry, 2-4. Slod Tadpoles 2-4, but a 24-20 all-play record. So a bit unlucky on the schedule. Slod Tadpoles score. We didn't go over Dez's scores, but they're not great.
They're abysmal.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Des.
And end of story.
Slod Tadpoles scored 117, 109, 124, and 120. So pretty consistent scoring. I'll start here, and I'm going to say real deal for the Slod Tadpoles. I think this is the team that's going to compete for this division that I'm going to have to worry about most. So, and I think a team coming out of this division, could make a run. I mean, looking at this roster, anyone with Josh Allen,
that helps.
I mean, Josh Allen's, could put up 30 points. Mike Evans, got that dog in him, that crazy amount of points he can score. Metcalf looks to be working with Geno. Like, there's players here. This team has a puncher's chance against anybody, and I think any team like that has real deal potential and can make a run. So I'm going to say real deal for the Slod Tadpoles.
What you got, Nick?
I go with no Schkapeel, and I think that this is more a product of being closer to the middle half, the middle tier teams that are closer to the bottom than they are the top. Like, I just think that it's. I don't think he'll be able to catch the teams that are actually going to be making the playoff places. Like the teams that we have as real deals that are actually good, but like the better teams right now, the teams that we feel are the real deals. Like, I just don't think this team can hang with it. Like, sure, you have Josh Allen, Mike Evans. And what? Like, look at it's still the same problem.
So did he cut out, or is he still looking for good play?
Well, no, it's then you have where are your running backs? Like
AJ Dillon and Melvin Gordon. I mean, Javonte Williams just went down.
Yeah, and it's going to be Boone. Like Dillon.
Damian Harris has been pretty damn good.
Damian Harris is decent. He's good.
Vindicator.
I mean, AJ Dillon, he's not it's still Aaron Jones' show in Green Bay.
But I don't think I mean, especially this year, like running backs, I'm not super concerned with, right? Look at the receivers. Amari Cooper, Mike Evans, DK Metcalf, Adam Thielen. Like, that is a really good receiving core. And I think a receiving core like that can make some. And Dallas Goedert, I mean, if there's a tight end outside of the top two who's somewhat reliable, Goddard's in that mix.
Sure. I got here. I agree, disagree. Like if it's real, if it's going to be the team, is this team going to make the playoff push? The way I feel right now, no. I don't think that this has the firepower to hang with the other teams making playoff pushes.
Yeah. If I had your guys' same loosey-goosey, overly generous real deal where they could compete for a playoffs, I would give this team real deal too, but I don't. So it doesn't. It gets no Schkapeel. Because for the following reason, right, is there's a lot of good players on this team, and there's so many that you go down and until someone really starts to blow up or show us something, you've got 40, 50 points on the season pretty much all the way down the roster. So they're going to have some really good consistency week to week, and that will win you a bunch of games. But I'm with Nick, is that until I see something a little more star power on this team, I don't think they're going to be able to compete enough to beat some of the teams that they're going to have to beat the way down the season. They've had some bad luck, and that stinks. If he'd had a few more wins, maybe I could see this sneaking into the playoffs. But only 5 teams make it, and right now this is closer to 6 or 7 for me. So
Yeah, I mean, he's not going to catch you. I mean, sure.
He better not.
I mean, that's the thing, right? Is that he's not. He's fighting for a wild card spot right now because he's not going to win the division. So what you're looking at right now then is, okay, so are you better than anyone who's else is fighting for a wild card spot? Like, is he fighting for a wild card spot? Sure. I just think he's at the bottom of that team fighting for it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bottom of that tier. That's all.
Dad Dicks. Next team here, Dad Dicks are 3-3. Despite their abysmal 12-32 all play. Dad Dicks scores on the year have been 102, 74, 87, and had a good week last week at 145 because T.J. Hawkinson scored 1,000,000 points. 1,000,000 being like 45. Had the 8th best tight end week ever.
Wow.
So, good job on you, Dad Dicks, there. I'll start. I think we all know where I'm going on this one. I've been on Grimes' ass all year. So, I'm going to say no Schkapeel. Just don't see it with this team. The players just aren't working out. Got just destroyed by injuries early on. And the points just aren't there. The consistency's not there, and I just don't see this team hanging around. The all play shows it.
Yeah, I mean, even if the players on this team, unlike some teams, even if the players on this team start panning out, unless they do more than pan out and absolutely explode and have like double their current output, it's not a team that can hang week to week with, the 5 best. It doesn't have the stars there. If I was Grimes right now, I would be sweating the trade market real hard because he does still have some very tradable assets on this team. Start building for next year. It's not going to happen. It's not for you. No Schkapeel.
Yeah, no Schkapeel. Like that, there's nothing to further. Yeah, all right. You guys have said everything about the team, so.
All right, Hitman, 5-1. Hitman scores. Finding it. 132, 152, 137, 169. Nick, what say you?
Real deal. I mean, there's no point to. But I mean, it's real deal. Like, you're gonna run away with the division, and you're a contender for the championship. I mean, like, I'm not trying to be flip about it. I mean, just like it's the teams that are good are. But for the same reason that you don't spend much time talking about the teams that are horrible. Like, you're a good team, and there's no real thing.
Yeah, good teams are good. You've got DeAndre Swift out, and you're still putting up numbers like that week to week. I don't think there's any reason to suspect you'd lose hold of your division at some point this season, unless those cues start to catch up with you, because it does have a little whiff of Hitman about it. Where it's seeing a lot of red next to your roster name.
It's lingering there.
Right. But I mean, you've got you've got a top 3 receiver. You've got a top 3 running back. Your quarterback's doing fine. I mean, there's the starting lineup of this team is not one that anybody wants to face week in and week out, and I think it's going to be real tough for your division to hang with you week to week. So yeah, real deal for me.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say real deal. I was talking with Daz yesterday, and like this, I'm just looking at this, and I'm like, man, considering where I'm at this year compared to other years, like if it doesn't happen this year, man, like if I'm not, if I don't really make a run and potentially went like, my team's going to take a hit next year salary wise. There's some hard decisions I'm going to have to make. So I don't know if this is like a one last ride situation or what, but yeah, we'll see. I think combination of division and just success so far, I'll say real deal as well.
Yeah.
Maximum Beef. We start at the bottom of Maximum Beef with Cyborg Tony Romo at the bottom of his division at 2-4 with an 18-26 record. So somewhat in line with his all play there. His scores, and I should be faster about this, are 133, 99, 71, 127. So, based on, like, I don't know. I'm gonna let you guys go first because I don't know. Like, I'm so confused by this team.
What do you make of that, right?
Yeah, Hiller's. We'll let you go first on this one.
I mean, it's still a good team. There's still players on this team that will absolutely shred you, especially in the receiving core with Jefferson, Debo, and the $38 Curtis Samuel, who he absolutely had to have. but there's still reason to believe that this team can put up a decent score on you at any week. But the shine is off the apple a little bit. A 3-quarterback team is a little suspect, and this is one of them. And I think that it's not the team that it was in previous years. Kamara isn't throwing up points. I don't think this year. I know he's been out. In week 4 and might not come back this game. But even before that, it wasn't exactly looking amazing, right? And so, there's room for growth. Breece Hall, there's a lot of talk about how he might improve. But another one of his running backs is Michael Carter. So it's a good team, and I think would thrive and be successful as perhaps a soggy Subway sandwich. But not around here. There's not enough beef. It's no Schkapeel for me.
I'm going to say it's a real deal, and I know a lot of that is still because it's Roscoe, and he has kind of had some bad luck with his roster at the moment, and it would only take a little bit to get turned on for him. I mean, he still has... Alvin Jones, and if Kamara comes back and he gets healthy, he can probably start... I don't know. It's still Roscoe. It's only week 4. I think if we were doing Real Deal No Schkapeel in 2 weeks, the answer could be very different if he was in this still situation, but it's still early enough, and he could still catch. The fact that the other people, if we're going to say that both division wild cards come from Maximum Beef, he's only 1 game behind out of that race right now. So I don't know. It's still a real deal, but it's actually no, it's not a real deal. Real Schkapeel is what I had him as. Sorry.
What does that mean?
It means I don't know. I'm on the fence.
No, you can't be on the fence.
That's
not how this works.
He is a real deal. He is a real deal. He is a real deal.
There you go. I'm going to say real deal too. He's 2-4, but he scored. Where did I lose my schedule here? He scored 127 points last week and went 0-2. He lost to Barely an Inconvenience. He scored 144, and Dad Dix, he scored 145. Right? That's just tough. That's a tough schedule luck right there. Would have beat a lot of teams last week, and that's where this record is hurting. So I'm going to say real deal. Roscoe's a good team. This is not a lineup you look at and you want to face. Despite Alvin Kamara's struggles, despite Justin Jefferson being, pretty good this year, but a little hit or miss week to week. Curtis Samuel, you mentioned, you had to have him. He's the number 14 wide receiver on the year. So
yeah,
or 16 maybe, whatever, 14 or 16. So yeah, I think that $38 for that is well worth it. I don't have any problem with that at all. But yeah, having to face Justin Jefferson, Curtis Samuel, and Deebo Samuel as receivers, and then you throw in Aaron Jones and Alvin Kamara at the running back spot, it's no thanks. And he's just getting Kittle back, and I think Kittle's getting integrated back into this offense too. And Kittle can put up 40 points any week as a tight end. So.
Thank God that touchdown got called back, because I think that if he caught that touchdown and then won a game, that would have put him over me, or really close.
It would have close. You still won by about 18 points, I think. But yeah. So this team, yeah, real deal for me. I think he'll be this team. This is a team that can win the title.
Yeah.
Barely an Inconvenience. Barely an Inconvenience is at 3-3. Despite a 26-18 all play, a bit unlucky there. Scores are 133, 101, 101, weirdly enough, and 144. I'll go first here, and I'm going to say real deal. This is a team I've liked from the start. The thing I love about this team is in 3 weeks, it's going to be so much better and scarier than it is right now. Because you look at Brian Robinson working his way back. You look at DeAndre Hopkins coming back in a couple weeks as well. And this team is going to be absolutely terrifying. So for that reason, I'm going to say real deal here. Hillers?
Yeah, concur. It's a real strong team with good players. You always look for, what's their starting lineup look like. He's got a strong positional advantage in having one of the actually elite tight ends, worth every penny at $29 to have Travis Kelce there. And you're right. You'd like to see, as I said before, you'd like to see a team with momentum. And he just made, a good trade that didn't really harm his starting lineup and gave him some depth in the position that we're getting less and less depth in all season. So that's the kind of thing you like for somebody that's going the full distance here. So yeah, it's a easy real deal for me too.
Nick, what do you think?
Yeah, real deal. I mean, I think that it's, to your point, Merrill, I think that what I've always said, what I've been saying for a while, since Brian Robinson got shot, is I was like, I just need to make it to week 6 at 500. Like, if I can be 500 when, week 7, I guess, at 500. Like, if I can be 500 when D-Hop comes back, like, I think I'll be okay. And I'm on track to do that. And, yeah. And just, I know that this is not, I said in the last podcast that I was like, I know I don't like playing the game of, well, if I sorted this other guy instead, right? Like, I totally understand that you don't want to play that game because then the other person can do that. But I would like to say that he did put up 141 points this week, and my quarterback only put up 2, like, because he got knocked out super early.
Yeah.
So even if he put up like 10 points, like it does make the score a little bit better.
More eye-popping.
Only 2 points.
Yeah,
Right.
I think those teams that can put up those big scores consistently, even if they get an underperformance from 1 or 2 of their studs, right? Those are the teams you watch out for.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Gazebo is our next team. Daria is at 3-3.
3-3.
Despite a 30-14 all play, so as always, a bit unlucky on the schedule luck. Score wise, she scored 128, 163, 130, and 100. Hillers, I think we all know where you're going on this one, but or actually, Nick, we'll start with you here.
I think she's a real deal. I mean, I think her team is still one of the best teams. It's still a great Daria team. Like, it's it's still a great team, and it's only that is a real deal. And again, it's one of those things where I think that it's, and I don't know why. Daria is that kind of owner that can put together teams that are always going to kind of be competitive and annoying, and I think that she could be fighting for that, last spot, and it could be between her and Slide Tadpole for that last spot.
Yeah, I mean, it is a signature Daria team. What she's compiled is like a significant amount of depth. It is, I think, important to acknowledge that Javonte Williams being out for the whole season is real bad. I mean, that's not something easy to replace in your strategy for the year. But it's still a bit of a mixed bag, I think, in terms of the outlook going forward. When you look at guys like Drake London or Kenneth Walker, you feel like there's some opportunity there for them, that they can move forward easily. You can easily see them getting a big upgrade from the amount of points they've been able to do thus far. Another team that has one of the rare positional advantages at tight end, and another team where it's like the starting lineup is just consistently damaging enough. It's a little bit of a concern that in this division that being consistently good might not be enough, just because we can't have 4 teams out of this division in the playoffs. But for right now, it's a real deal for me.
Yeah, I'm gonna go no Schkapeel on this team. I think if Javonte Williams is healthy, I'd go real deal. But looking at this team, I don't love the RB2 situation. Not that RB2 matters too much, and if your team's good elsewhere, but just don't love it. The Jalen Waddle, who's got a lot of points. Most of that was accumulated in one game, and who knows how long Tua is going to be out. So now you got Teddy Bridgewater coming in, and so you've got Devontae Adams, and then I guess Drake London's good, but the Falcons throw 10 times a game. Like, so how much are you depending on that? So like like of the teams in this division, there's got to be one that can't be a stayer, right? That has to finish last, and I think this is the team that does, and I don't think that's anything to be ashamed of. Obviously, I mean, it's fantasy football. Why would you ever be ashamed of it? But
why?
Yeah, right. Like, why would you ever be ashamed to be in the league for 19 years and never winning a title? I'm saying no Schkapeel on this team. I think this team might have a rough few weeks coming ahead, and I think the 100 points this past week might be the start of it. I hate underestimating Daria because I've done it before and it's never worked out well. But I'm going out on a limb here, and I think this is the one I'm most worried about saying no Schkapeel on, honestly. But I've got to go with it.
Out of this division, one team has to be no Schkapeel for everybody.
Yeah,
Right.
right. And this is
It's
good.
the ultimate no Schkapeel at least.
Yeah. Hillers is the final team in this division. Hillers non-zero chances at 5-1 with a 29-15 all play. Scores so far have been, where are you? 141, 162, 89, 123. Nick, what do you think about Hiller's team?
I mean, no surprise. I think that it's the real deal. Like there's nothing really. Yeah, real deal. I mean, and again, kind of like we're talking about with Merrill. Like, good teams are good teams, and there's not really much to discuss. I will defer any other further comments until you guys answer.
Yeah, I'll agree. I mean, at 5-1, a team's got to kind of be, you have to kind of say real deal to some degree, and the points back it up, and the all play kind of backs it up so far too.
Right.
And there doesn't seem to be a trend going in another direction. There's nothing to say that. There's injury wise, Amon-Ra St. Brown is out currently, but will be back soon. Some of the things that have broken Hiller's way here, Miles Sanders, a running back that nobody loved or wanted to draft.
So unloved.
Hillers took advantage of that RB dead zone that everyone talks about. Like in the snake draft, for instance, those running backs that go in like the 5th or 6th round because you're just scrambling to get somebody you can play. They rarely work out. And this year he grabbed Miles Sanders and Josh Jacobs, who are absolutely working out. They're playing great right now, and so those are a big reason for this success. Dez is the all-bust team. A lot of Hiller's guys are working out, and I don't see any reason why they won't continue to work out. So, I'm going to say real deal here for that reason. Hillers, I'm assuming you're going to say real deal as well?
I am indeed. Yeah, I think it's I went the opposite of the no RB strategy. I wanted all the RBs. The guys that I thought would be, my shiny hot new toys here in Cam Akers and the Vindicator, Ramondre Stevenson, that's not really panned out yet. Vindicator's working on it. Cam Akers looks like he might never. But as you said, I got lucky in just deciding that volume was king. And guys like Josh Jacobs and Miles Sanders, if they were getting that many snaps, you had to pay some money for them, and so far that's panned out. I've been pleased at how Amon-Ra St. Brown obviously worked out after the trade. I know he's injured, but it's not too terrible. Christian Kirk has been exceeding expectations. If I can quit just fiddling around on the waiver wire and resist my impulse to make a reckless trade, I think I'll be at least competitive in this division, and an early start certainly doesn't hurt.
So coming into this year, Michael Pittman was your flagship wide receiver, maybe your flagship player that you thought was going to be your anchor for several years to come.
I did.
What are your thoughts on Pittman currently?
Colts are so bad. I mean, they're just real bad. And I don't know why the sudden plummet, for a team like that when you've got a capability in your running game with a guy like Jonathan Taylor. I don't know why they've cratered, and I hope they figure it out. I'm lucky this season that I might not have to lean on him in order to succeed, but it is surprising how bad it's going thus far. A little bit of a small sample size at only 3 games. And he's got over 15 points in 2 of those games, so I don't think it's time for me to hit the panic button, especially when I look at his real soft schedule in the mid to late season for him. But I wish it was better. But it's okay. I mean, he'll occasionally be a flex. I mean, right now I'm starting Jacobs, Mixon, and Sanders, so I only need 2 functioning wide receivers, and I have at least 4 functioning wide receivers, so I feel like I'm good.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think everybody thought Pittman would be better than you. So the targets have gone down every game, which is a bit concerning. But again, it's 3 games, so
Who is getting the targets?
I think Matt Ryan just getting sacked. They're so bad.
Who knows?
They just can't move the ball. That offense is just laboring right now. They don't. I don't know, man. I don't know.
I will also say that investing in a quality defense has made me feel safe and secure every week.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
As the person who owns the number 1 overall defense. I picked them up off waivers. All right, power rankings. Going to start with Nick this week.
These are probably going to be very much like the thing you just heard us say.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Okay, yeah.
A little
We
different.
can explain if there's a difference, why there would be a difference in what we said. But Nick, take us from 12 to 7.
All right, so to kind of like what Meryl just said is that so the difference between no Schkapeel and my definition of it is the difference between no Schkapeel and no real deal no Schkapeel is season long. What are we looking at for playoff contention and championship chances? Power rankings are more which team do I want to play right now. So this has been shifted around a little bit. I mean, bad teams are still bad, but this is just like reordering how badly do I want to play some of these teams. Like I have Assassins right now as the bottom team, followed by Dad Dicks, Ducks, Weenye. Then I have Slod and TDJ.
You think 2 teams are worse than the Ducks?
I do.
Okay.
I mean, I think the
Yeah,
Dad
but
Dicks
again,
are terrible.
not worse. It's just which it's not
that's
worse.
crazy.
It's who would I rather play right now? Because I would rather play Watson. I would rather play Grimes, and then I would rather play Dev.
Okay.
All right. All right, I'm going to take 12, I'll put the Ducks. At 11, I'll put the Dad Dicks. I almost said at K, I'll put the Dad Dicks. At 11, I'll put the Dad Dicks. At 10, I've got Weenye. At 9, I've got the Assassins. At 8, I've got Touchdown Jesus. And at 7, I've got Slot. And just to be clear, my power rankings versus Real Deal No Schkapeel is the same as Nick's in that in the current snapshot of the league this week, if I have to play a team, which team do I not want to play versus which team do I want to play against? That's how I do my power rankings.
Yeah, typically that's how I do it as well, but I find that mine align extremely closely with
I think most of them do. Yeah.
Right. And I only give out 5 real deals. That's there can only be 5. But 12 is the Ducks because of course they are. 11 is Assassins. 10 is the Dad Dicks. 9 is Weenye. 8, and this might be a little bit controversial, Cyborg Tony Romo. I think he's on his way out. And then 7, Slot.
You say controversial. I think maybe you might not be wrong just early, right? Like that's the thing. I'm never wrong. I'm just early. Like that's what people say sometimes when they're talking about fantasy analysis. They're like, "Yeah, I wasn't wrong on this guy. I was just early that he was going to be terrible." Maybe that's the case with CTR. I don't know. I'm terrified to count out CTR though. I'm not doing it. But we'll
That's my thing.
Nick, top 6.
Top 6. Top 6. I have CTR, Chiefs, Gazebo. Then I have Hillers, Barely Inconvenience, and Hitmen.
Mine are pretty similar. I have Gazebo at 6. Not gonna happen. Chiefs at 5. At 4, I've got CTR. At 3, I've got Barely an Inconvenience. 2, Hillers. 1, Hitman. Matching Nick at putting the podcasters in the top 3 of the power rankings. Let's go, Sandlot Cast.
Listen to our advice. It must be good because we're beating you. At 6, I have TDJ. At 5, I have the Not Gonna Happen Chiefs. At 4, I have Barely an Inconvenience, possible riser next week. At 3, I have the Gazebo. At 2, I have myself. And Meryl, that makes you our number 1 consensus this week.
Yeah, implosion incoming for sure. Whenever somebody is number 1 by all 3, it rarely works out well unless you're Roscoe.
I don't know. I had it last week. I went 2-0. I'm all right.
Who's going to be number 1 waiver pickup tomorrow? The most expensive.
Oh, yeah.
Who would you say?
How much money does Watson have?
What'd you say?
This is Boone, and how much money does Watson have?
I mean, with Latavius Murray signing though, that's the thing.
Crispy Hawk.
It would have been Mike Boone, but now fucking Latavius Murray is ruining things again.
I know who Grimes will be paying for.
Yeah. Who's the other big pickup right now? Are there any others?
I mean, based on success on the season?
The Falcons, the other Falcons running back, right? What's his name? Hundley?
Potentially, yeah.
Maybe, was it Caleb Hundley? Yeah, Caleb Huntley, who had the goal line carries for Atlanta last week. Yeah.
I mean, in most leagues, there'd be more news on who's going to be the big free agent pickup, right?
Yeah. most
just-
leagues are 10-team leagues too. Is the other thing,
right,
And
but this is barren.
taking
you know?
taking an extra 32 players off of free agent, because we have 2 extra teams, causes problems. So,
But I'm just saying, it's nice to see people are paying attention and being quick on those pickups.
for sure. All right, for Nick, for Hillers, it's Merrill signing off. Talk to you guys later.
All right, guys.